Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with our latest gameplay and deck tech video to show you. In this series we highlight a random deck on MTG Arena, and it can range from a spicy homebrew to a tier 1 meta deck that is hot on ranked. And if you do enjoy these videos that we make, all I ask for you is to give a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, as I would greatly appreciate your support. Now, if you like the deck we're playing today, I'll leave a link in the details below so you can give it a spin for yourself on Arena. Keep in mind that these videos will be pure gameplay, no commentary style, so you can enjoy the game. But if you do want to hear my deck tech analysis and thoughts, I'll leave that at the end of the gameplay. So without further ado, let's take the deck that you see right now and get started.
Watch me heat up the dance floor. Give a toast? I'd love to. At dispelling darkness, a blazing woo. Watch me heat up the dance floor. Let's bring things up to a simmer.
And there you have it, everybody. That is our mono red burn deck for Explorer. Now, yes, I know I've done many burn decks here already on my channel, but I love burn so much. And I will say right now, there's actually a little bit of finesse that actually goes into playing a burn deck. For those of you who do play burn decks out there, give a shout out below in the comments, and I would love to hear from you guys about your experiences playing burn in any format. But in any case, the reason why we're looking at Explorer burn specifically is for a couple reasons. One, we got Monastery Swiftspear finally added to Arena thanks to the Brothers War. So this does give us a massive boost in power. It may not look like much, but I'll explain why this is a great card in just a bit. But also the reason is this version that I have right here that I recommend to you is probably the best balance between power, momentum, budget. It all just works together as is. As we mentioned earlier, we only need 2 mythics and we have 4 rares total. So this provides us a great balance between that. And most likely, if you've been playing on Arena as long as I have, you already have the cards that you need to make this deck. So this is mostly going to be a free roll for those of you out there who are just trying to take the time to get your wins. Maybe you're still trying to figure out what kind of deck you want to build with the new Brothers War cards. So just as an FYI, I highly recommend playing this. But in any case, for those of you who are trying to figure out why should you play burn, Monastery Swiftspear makes all the difference for us. This card has haste and prowess, so this thing is going to be smashing in the moment you throw it onto the battlefield, and prowess allows us to spell sling and then pump this creature up to do an insane amount of damage. Hopefully in perfect world, you can get out your wins as fast as turn 4, maybe even turn 3 if everything just aligns correctly. Otherwise, in terms of this deck, you've mostly seen a lot of these cards already, so we won't get too much into detail about it. You mostly have played this already. You have Viashino Pyromancer as your other creature. You have Gitu Lava Runner. If you do have Soul Scar Mages, I highly recommend then replace your Lava Runner with the Soul Scar Mage. But for budget reasons today, we're going to keep the Lava Runner in our deck. We also have, of course, Kumamo Faces Kakazan. This is a great card as always, provides a little bit of extra boost to us because it does 3 things in one card. Fantastic, and it creates a creature for us that also has haste. And then, of course, as far as your burn package, mostly everything you've seen before. Play with Fires, Shocks, Lightning Strike, Skewer the Critics, and Wizard's Lightning. The only downside I'm going to have is because we have Monastery Swiftspear now replacing the Soul Scar Mage if you're playing budget, is now that means you only have 8 Wizards versus 12, so Wizard's Lightning may be a little less consistent, so just keep that in mind. But if you do want to try it out, I still say the odds are in your favor to use it. Otherwise, in terms of helping you churn through our deck, you also will have Light Up the Stage, as always. You have Chandra Dress to Kill. Usually I would recommend once you get this out, after you take up 1 to maybe do a little extra damage, maybe you have another spell you want to cast. After that, once you have at least 4 mana on the battlefield, I would then say highly recommend just to keep exiling cards with this +1 ability, so that way you can keep churning through your deck and hopefully you can keep making the plays you need to get to your victory. Otherwise, aside from that, most of everything else is pretty much exactly the same as you've seen it. You have 12 mountains, 2 Den of the Bugbears, 4 Ramanop Ruins for a total of 18 lands, which is a little low for us, even though we have some 3-drops, but keep in mind with the discount these cards give us, this mana base is perfectly fine to cast what we need. Now, as far as your sideboard is concerned, we have Tormod's Crypt, because again, we don't want to have to spend too much mana on Graveyard Hate or anything like that, so that's why we're going to utilize this card. Also, that free roll sometimes can throw opponents off when they don't expect that it's going to trigger Monastery Swiftspear if you're tapped out. And as far as the rest of the cards, it's going to be a big hodgepodge of just specific spot removal depending on what your opponent has. The biggest weakness that you kind of saw from this deck is that most of the bigger creatures out there tend to block everything we're doing. Yes, Monastery Swiftspear can pump itself up with its prowess ability, however, it can only do so much on its own, and if they keep getting spot removed themselves, you're kind of now stuck with some very weak creatures that won't help us get to victory. But otherwise, that's the reason why I recommend Chandra's Defeat for the red decks, Burning Hands for the green decks out there. Use your Braids to get rid of those artifact creatures, and sometimes it might do a little extra damage to other random creatures. Fries are mostly going to be against the control decks for those that are trying to carry around with them blue or white planeswalkers, but otherwise for those angel decks out there, these are also fantastic as well. Obliterating Bolt is going to be more of a catch-all spell that you could throw in there just to exile something you just can't deal with, and it's really helpful now versus this over Lava Coil because it also can hit planeswalkers, so keep that in mind. And then finally, a set of Roiling Vortex. One of our other big weaknesses, it is the bane of our existence, but oh man, if you have to deal with life gain, and you probably will deal with it if you play on Arena enough, life gain sucks a lot for burn decks. So throw in your Roiling Vortex when you're playing best of 3 just to turn off their life gain, and hopefully we can ping them out a little bit of extra damage. Also, for those opponents out there that are getting a little cheeky by trying to cast stuff for free, Roiling Vortex out there will smash them for 5 damage if they attempt to do anything sneaky like that. And of course, make sure that you have that 1 mana open whenever it's their turn, so that way you can turn off their life gain when you need to in a pinch. But otherwise, that's it in terms of for the burn deck out there. My final thoughts, of course, are going to be for this is I would highly recommend that you play this a little bit, practice with it, except that you're going to get some losses with this deck, because burn is one of those decks that's easy to play, easy to pick up and do, and it's very hard to master. And why is that? For those of you who play burn, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's understanding when it's important to sequence either a burn spell to either do efficient damage to face, or sometimes you may have to cast a burn spell on creatures. Yes, you're going to make mistakes on the way. Trust me, from the footage you see, I did make that mistake as well. And if you do want to play burn, just understand that there'll be those learning curves with that. And that's why I say that burn is one of the hardest decks out there to master, because of understanding where you need to efficiently put your damage at. But otherwise, don't think too hard about that. That's kind of why, again, I decided to make the sideboard the way I did. Is for those of you who need a little extra help, adjust as you need to. This is, again, just my recommendation, catch-all for those of you who want to play best of one. Don't worry about the sideboard. That can make also the deck even cheaper, because then you don't need the Roiling Vortex. But however, if you do want to consider this for at least the current format and has a Brothers War, for those of you who are fans of burn, hopefully you'll agree with me and say, for those of you who haven't taken the dive into this style of deck, definitely give this deck a try, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later!